Racing Destruction Set is a game released by Electronic Arts in 1985. This is a car and motocross racing game developed for the Commodore 64 and later released on the Atari 8-bit. At the time, this game was known for its innovative track editor and vehicle choice with customization. It was Electronic Arts' third best-selling Commodore game as of late 1987. It received much critical praise, including that from Zzap 64 magazine that gave it a Sizzler rating of 95%. In the years following its release, it saw numerous remakes and copycats. Racing Destruction Set, like other racing games, has the objective to beat your opponent in a lapped race. Unlike other racing games of the time, it wasn't a view from the driver's seat or top-down. This was set apart as it gave an isometric view of your vehicle, the track, which was further enhanced by the illusion of depth using shadows beneath the vehicles. This is certainly apparent when your vehicle will be launched up into the air. What set Racing Destruction Set apart even further from its contemporaries, and gives it continual fun even today, is that the game has a whole construction set of creative entertainment. Not only do you have a multitude of tracks to choose from, you also have the ability to customize, design, build, and play those tracks. Although I could pull out my bootleg 5¼ floppy copy of this fantastic game at any time and play it on real hardware, I was only recently able to play this game on the C64 Maxi, with the help of Robin from 8-Bit Show and Tell.
Hi, it's Robin.
In case you're unaware, the C64 is a re-implementation of the Commodore 64 in its approximate original package to include a full-size working keyboard, but instead of the legacy interfaces on the side and back of the machine, it has USB ports and HDMI out. It also has a very user-friendly interface, so pretty much anybody can hook up the C64 and start playing. None of the disk images I had, nor any I found on the internet, would successfully load. Robin, drawing from his vast knowledge of Commodore 64 archives, was able to guide me to a D81 disk image and cartridge image that worked incredibly well. After testing each of them, the D81 disk image is the better experience. Much like other games in the racing genre, the objective is to beat your opponent in a lapped race. The screen is split in half with player 1 above, in red, while player 2 is below, in yellow. Player 2 can be either the computer, a seasoned racer, or a human friend if one is available and a second joystick at hand. Under normal conditions, your vehicle doesn't sustain any damage while racing. You can fly high, roll your car, and keep driving. This is my preferred option, as the others tend to just add frustration or an untimely end. Changing the difficulty from normal to advanced, your car will start to suffer damage, which is expressed by making it frustratingly slow and unable to drive up some of the ramps. The severe difficulty level is entertaining, as a wrong move will send you off the track, where your car will suffer a catastrophic end of a roll, explosion, and leaving you with the rubber side facing up. If a clean race wasn't to your liking, switching the rules from race to destruction will give you the opportunity to use oil slick or landmines to destroy or delay your opponent. Racing Destruction Set gives you various gravity settings, represented by a selection of list of some of the celestial bodies from our solar system. You can race on a track with as little gravity as Earth's moon, or as relentless as Jupiter. The gravity settings have an effect on how high you fly in the air when you hit a ramp, and how well you can make turns. Typically, the moon is my preferred gravity setting due to the super high hang time your vehicle experiences when hitting the right ramp at the right speed. There are also 4 graphics options which affect how the track looks. Since I grew up playing the Commodore 64 on a black and white TV, I didn't realize how much more exciting the differences were between them at the time. When I saw the various options in full color for the first time, I was amazed. Ultimately, whether in black and white or in color, Motex was and still is my preferred racing destruction experience. There are 10 vehicles to choose from to race on your tracks. The default option, and probably the best option for most tracks, is the Can-Am. It can be customized to be among the fastest of racers and has adequate shock strength to handle the jumps as well. The Grand Prix, just as fast, but can be configured to have a faster acceleration, does not have as good of shock strength. I believe it's the worst of the selections. When you choose your vehicle, you can adjust some aspects such as engine size, tires, add armor or crusher, and for the destruction style of racing, landmines and oil slick. I think that this might be the first game that provided such detailed variety between vehicles. Each vehicle can accommodate various customization options. The Can-Am and Grand Prix cannot have knobby street or spike tires. In contrast, the Jeep and pickup don't have slick tire options. Some tires are better for pavement, like slicks, followed by street, which is kind of a balance between the tires. Knobby are best for dirt and spike tires for ice. The racer you choose should be tuned to the specific track. Pavement with a lot of high-flying jumps, Can-Am, street bike, and stock car probably best. You could use the Grand Prix, but you are likely going to roll your car quite a lot. A dirt track should go with something that can accommodate the knobby tires like the Jeep, Baja Bug, pickup truck, or dirt bike. If you are racing on a track with a lot of ice, you probably don't like yourself, but it would be best to use a vehicle with spiked tires. The vehicles are not all viable for the tracks I enjoy most, but with proper track customization, you can tailor a race for a specific vehicle. Truthfully, I don't understand why anyone would race the Lunar Rover. It's cool because it looks like it has a Lego minifigure driving it, but it goes so awfully slow and has zero customization options, it's just not ever going to be fun to race this particular vehicle. The cars I choose most often are the Can-Am, the default racer, and the Grand Prix. With a few adjustments, you can max out either of them to the speed of 200 miles an hour. At least I think it means miles per hour, could be kilometers per hour, I don't really know. It doesn't say for certain. The game is bundled with several default tracks. This is, at least, true for all the release versions I've played. The track I remember playing the most was called Jumps, and what made it fun was the fact you could drive the faster cars up the ramps on low gravity and just fly over much of the track in a larger-than-life, somewhat ridiculous fashion. Once you've burned through the majority of the tracks, and you feel the boredom begin to set in, there's a whole world of personal creative track expression to explore. This is where Racing Destruction Set really begins to shine. I'm not even sure of a racing game today that gives you the ability to make a track of your own like this. The construction portion of this game won't allow you to put together a broken track, but it will allow you to make an impossible to complete track, something like an endless loop. You're given numerous bits of track construction, the turns, the straightaways that you would expect. They don't have to be pavement. Any surface can be dirt or ice. The elevation and width of track segments can be altered to create ramps that throw you up and off the screen in a high-flying stunt, or segments that choke the road to force cars down a narrower path. Additional confusion can be served up to racers by adding forks and intersections. Tracks don't have to be a boring oval. It's totally possible to turn cars around and have them loop back and forth and make the cars travel in opposite directions. That can make for some amusing head-on crashes. The track variations are almost limitless in an 8-bit sort of way. I did try to find some sort of documentation on what exactly Armor and Crusher do. The best I've been able to determine is from issue 6 of Zzap 64, which explains that Armor protects against Crusher, but not with any real detail. The specifics are still a mystery to me. The amount of damage, or protection from damage, is without certainty. Although as a kid I had wished that there were more cars from which to choose and more options from which to customize each vehicle, playing this game again today, with a new generation of gamers, and now I get to experience it in a whole new and, dare I say, a better way. I have a fresh perspective while watching how my own kids interact with Racing Destruction Set, but now in the C64 Maxi, this means load times are nearly instantaneous. I can pause and save the game states, modify tracks, save them to disk, and even transfer them to my OpenSUSE Linux machine to back it up or play the game using the versatile Commodore emulator anywhere I want. There's a lot more freedom with enjoying Racing Destruction Set, which means a lot more fun. Now in 2022, I get to experience the fun all over again, but this time I'm watching how the kids discover and figure out what is fun for them. Rather than me telling them how I played it and what I thought was best, I'm letting them explore the game the way they desire. There's so much more nuance to the game than I knew of some 30 years ago. Like designing tracks to suit not just the fastest cars, but also the slower vehicles like the Baja Bug, Jeep, and pickup truck on dirt and ice tracks, which are more accommodating to the fun with knobby and spike tires. I am experiencing a kind of rediscovery of this game, playing it in different ways and enjoying it all over again that is even more enjoyable when my oldest cubicle boy builds a track suited specifically for the Baja Bug, the vehicle he likes most. It makes me wonder why I missed all this as a child of the same age some decades ago. Is it because the load times are so painfully slow I didn't have the patience? I don't know. After playing this game again and messing with the various options allowed for each vehicle, I am left with some head scratching as to some of the design decisions of the game developers. Things like, why does the Grand Prix have a larger displacement engine that only makes the vehicle heavier and does not add any speed, but reduce the acceleration. The stock car options are also puzzling, with similar variations, but without any real clear reason. Also, what is the point of the Lunar Rover other than to give to the computer player so you can win by a ridiculous margin, or slam into it at high speeds and have it make a gnarly catastrophic sound? Just racing it has not a shred of enjoyment on any track. I would go so far as to say it is more enjoyable to pick gum off the underside of a city park bench than it is to race this thing. What would make this game more enjoyable is if the vehicles had more comparable abilities. Some ideas would be like, make the Can-Am the easy mode racer, leave it just as it is, but give it the ability to have street tires. Change Grand Prix with poor shock strength, intolerant to hitting any jumps hard, and make it slightly faster, or choose between great acceleration or slightly greater speed, let's say 205 or 210. Speed up the Stingray, as it looks pretty dang cool, but it just can't keep up with the Can-Am. The street bike could have been more like a high-performance style of racer, with a slightly higher speed as well. I wish they would have given the Lunar Rover some sort of special ability other than the twisted joy you get out of slamming into it. Its only ability is to be painfully slow and useless. Some pixel artists spent a lot of time making it an awesome piece of 8-bit sprite graphic, but took away the fun it could have possibly been. My best guess is they ran out of time or money, and didn't think of what features it could have had. The other nice thing that could have enhanced this gameplay is some option to add additional non-player racers that would just get in your way when you race. Much like there was on other racing games at this time, like Pole Position 2, more computer players that would just get in your way would have made for some randomness to the outcome of each race. There could have been some sort of basic selection option in the race menu where you could select the number and type of vehicle with some sort of annoyingness level. I do realize that this game might have pushed the limits of this machine with the abilities developers had with this hardware at the time. This game, as it is today, doesn't lag one bit, so maybe this would have been a detriment to the enjoyment as they saw it at the time. It might have required some additional sprite multiplexing technique that wasn't well known in or about 1984. As it is now, the cars, the shadow effects will use as many as 8 sprites, which is the documented limit of the Commodore 64. Regardless, I still think it would have been super cool if they could have made that happen. Racing Destruction Set is the first automotive racing game that I enjoyed playing for many long hours as a child. Granted, a significant portion of that time was probably in waiting for the game to load. But it was the best racing game made that I played on any system, and held that position with me until the 90s, when Mario Kart or possibly F-Zero came on the scene with the Super NES. But they still didn't give you that ability to create your own tracks. There was a highly successful remake of the game called RPM Racing, but I would be hesitant to say it was better than the Commodore 64 Classic. Racing Destruction Set was a well-made game that set the standard for great racers for the future. It was the first that made vehicle and track customization as part of the gameplay. By being able to make your own tracks and customize your vehicles, Electronic Arts gave the gift of incredible replayability with a multitude of hours of fun. To this day, I still get a giant smile on my face when playing this game. The best experience I've had with it has been, without any question, on the C64 Maxi. The faster load times, no need to flip disks to access different parts of the game, has made playing Racing Destruction Set a whole new level of enjoyment. Now, if only I could figure out how to modify the vehicle selection options to make it more interesting. Thanks for watching.